But you know how it is. Sometimes folks, they feel a little bit shy. Someone to, It's another proper procedure. Cases.
Well, we look at it not very close, but
Yes?
We're talking about the organization has to present this.
Correct, yes.
And
The copier is downstairs.
yeah, you want to take a picture?
Well, we'll just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah?
So we were saying whoever is doing the presentation, he will. On behalf of the principal and staff of the school, and on behalf of the PTA executive of the Petite Savanne School, I bid you welcome to this function here today. Present with us today are representatives of the Rosie Douglas Foundation in the person of Mr. Casey, Dr. Shillingford, and Mr. Christian. As well, we have with us today Mr. Baron or Palrep, and of course, Mr. Timothy Moe is the principal of the school. So we want to bid you welcome to this afternoon's function, and a special welcome to our honorable guests who are here today to present computers as well as a photocopier to the school. Of course, we are already using this equipment, but this afternoon they want to present it to us formally. So I bid you welcome to this occasion, and let's hope that we'll have a fruitful and meaningful discussion afterwards. So welcome one and all. We will first hear this afternoon for some brief remarks from the principal of the school. So let's welcome Mr. Moise.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon to everybody. A special welcome to Mr. Casey, Roy Casey, Dr. Shillingford, Mr. Christian, members, welcome. We are all aware of the importance of the materials and equipment in the teaching and learning process, especially machines such as the photocopier that is donated to this school by our patriotic friends of the Rosie Douglas Foundation and who reside in the United States. The main reason why this machine became such a dire need for us here was because we had one already, and we grew accustomed to it. Therefore, its breakdown left a void among the staff. However, we have one today, received free of charge, which means that we are left with whatever funds already accumulated by the PTA for other things which the PTA will decide later on. Therefore, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the staff and the PTA to thank all involved in making this machine available to the Petite Savanne School. Words are inadequate to express our gratefulness to you, Mr. Casey, for your thoughtfulness of us, evident in the copier that we later on we can get a chance to visit in my office, and the computers in the science room. Although there is someone to give a vote of thanks at the end of this ceremony, I, as principal, on behalf of the staff and the PTA, we say thank you very much, and we want to ask God's blessing upon you. May the good Lord continue to bless you so that you will give us other assistance in the school later on. I don't think that I can end now without saying a special word of thanks to a very kind gentleman who is not here with us today, but was very instrumental in getting this copier down to us, and this is no other than Mr. Nigel Lawrence. I know who said that at some time he was looking at the media and observed that when I asked the Prime Minister, I think it was during the time of the visit of the cabinet to our community, made mention of whether it was possible to get machines for the school in the form of a copier, and then he was not too keen on the response that was given, but he furthered it on to you, Mr. Casey. I think he said that he mentioned this to you, and then here we have a copier. So I want to take this opportunity to thank him very much, okay, in his absence. While we say thanks to everybody, to all involved in one way or another in the receipt of the equipment that you have sent to us, I want to say that we have already started making them very good use of this machine. Okay? It has come in very handy to us, and it is going to be a very useful machine not only for the school but for the rest of the community. So I want to thank you once again. Okay?
Very much, Principal Moise. As we are aware, we should be very machines. These days we talk very much of information technology. So we have these machines, this equipment, therefore the children would be exposed to all these web. They will be able to explore and research things using the computers. So, of course, make use of this equipment, and we are very grateful for them. Next on the microphone, I have great pleasure introducing the parliamentary representative, Honorable Urban Baron, to the microphone. Mr. Baron.
Ile, Master of the Ceremony for this small event this afternoon. I'm this afternoon to be part of this ceremony and to thank in particular the representative of the Rosie Douglas Foundation, and in a very, very special way to thank Mr. Roy Casey for the great contribution that he has been doing for this area, the Bagadeza School. And in fact, I learned that he intends doing a lot more to schools in other districts in Dominica and in my constituency. I want to say too that I'm very happy for the participation of the people who are here. It shows that you are interested in your children's future. You are interested in the business of the school, and you are showing gratitude for contribution and donation given to us in this village by the gentlemen who are here. I think that's a good sign, because when we are receiving things from particularly strangers, people who do not know us, I think it is very important that we show that we are showing gratitude and showing thankfulness for what we are receiving. I think that is a good sign, and I'm very, very, very happy to see that. Let me say that the printer and the computers is going to assist the school a long, long way. Today, education is very important, and we are talking about technology, and we must introduce the technology into our schools. Although we are a bit late and we are a lot behind as compared to a number of other communities, but it is not too late. We now have an opportunity, our children has an opportunity to be able to use the computer and to get the necessary information they need to assist them. Without the technology today, there's not much we can achieve. The world around us needs our people to be able to use the computer, to be able to access the information that is around us, so that we can keep abreast with what is happening around the world and what is happening around Dominica. So we must say that we are happy, and I hope that all of us in Petite Savanne must take the opportunity and to be able to use the computers that we are getting. I think it is a call for other people from Petite Savanne, from Dominica who are abroad, that we are a poor country. We require a lot of assistance in a number of different ways, number of different ways, and we are expecting that some of our people who have gone abroad, who have done well, and who are able to make a contribution to Dominica and to the community where they come from, I think it is a call for them to do like the people who are from the Rosie Douglas Foundation, who are doing all their best to assist Dominica and to ensure that we do not only come back here on vacation and to have a good time, or to say that the country is not going any further, and to criticize and to say negative things. I think what they are doing is a positive thing, and would like all Dominicans that have lived there and go abroad and build themselves and was able to get a better life for themselves, that they can turn back and give us the little assistance from time to time to enable us to have a better future for ourselves and a better for our children, and that Dominica can be a happier place through their little help and their little assistance. So I would like, again, to thank Mr. Christian, to thank Mr. Shillingford, and in particular to thank Mr. Casey, because he has been doing a lot. And I continue that, I would hope that he will continue to do much more once he has the help, once God will continue to give him the strength and the energy to be able to go around and to seek the assistance from friends abroad, from people who do not know us, even people in America who do not know Petite Savanne, but he can go back and say so many positive things about Petite Savanne. I want to thank him very much and to tell him that whatever is given to us here, we are very noted here in Petite Savanne to take good care of things that are given to us and to ensure that it lasts very, very long for the use of the children and for the use of the people here. Thank you very much.
Baron. I now call on Mr. Casey, a representative of the Rosie Douglas Foundation, to give a few brief remarks and to make the presentation the principal of the school will receive on behalf of the school. Mr. Casey.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it again. We need some energy here, right? You don't have to call me sir, you know. First of all, it feels good to be back. It has been a long time, but I'm basically practically grew up in Petite Savanne too, because I'm from Point Carré, right? So it's just like a couple miles away. And it's basically the same community. I mean, I'm looking at Corriette, you know. I mean, this is a guy that we went a long time before, you know. And it's good to be back to see people like Corriette, who is involved in the community, who is still here. Look at Boris Gist, we grew up together. And on the way here, we were just talking about the things we used to do when we used to, while growing up. Going out store and eat by his mother, come up to Point Carré, eat by me, go and play cricket on the road, you know. These are things that we did not too long ago. You know, before I go, I just want to say, I mean, first of all, Dr. Clayton Shillingford was an accomplished gentleman, you know, lots of experience, and is fortunate to be here today. So you guys, Mr. Christian is an attorney in Maryland. These are Dominicans who went overseas and who have made a difference in terms of personal growth, experience, exposure. Okay, there are other Dominicans, Petite Savanne people who are probably on Bagat, other folks who have gone overseas, or who probably have done the same thing. You know, right now, for today, I mean, we just came from Bagatelle, and then the school, I mean, you know, I wish we had a lot more school children here, because they have all the school children back home, and it was just beautiful looking at those young children. And, you know, I was here in 2000, and while I was here, you know, I listened to a lot of people was complaining, and I said to myself, you know, I'm not a complainer, because I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm always looking for opportunities. And I said to myself, what is it that I need to do as a Dominican to make a difference? So when I left, I went back to New York, you know, through my connections, and then, you know, I had a company before, a construction firm, and I closed it down, and then, you know, so I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I went to the technical college, which was a former student at the technical college, and then I had a meeting with the director, and then he told, so we were there talking, because I think Sarah Broch was the Minister of Education at the time, and he asked me, can you go and speak to these children and go and see Mr. Matthews? And I went there, and then, while I was in the office, and I looked at the office, and they had some piece of thing on a table, and I say, they were trying to make some copies, and they were pulling stuff here and pulling stuff. Then I said, is that what you have? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, when I go back to New York, I'll send you a copying machine. And he probably didn't take me seriously. Because apparently a lot of people come and make promises and go back, and you never hear about them, right? So what I did when I came back, I decided, okay, I had like a copying machine. So I said, charity begins at home. So, I from Bagatelle, this is where I went. So I sent a copying machine to the Bagatelle school. We had some books. I belong to the Caribbean Transformation Center. They had a bunch of books there. I said, okay, give me the books. Let me send it to a school. So we sent it to the Bagatelle school. We had a computer. I sent it to the Bagatelle school. I do sales. I'm in business myself. I sell technology. That's what I do. Copying machines, fax machines, computer systems. So I went to the school, and then they had a bunch of, I sell them a copying machine. So they had a bunch of computers there. So I tell the young lady, what do you all guys need that stuff there? So she said, well, we need 2 summers to send. I said, well, why don't you give it to me? She said, fine, because we want to get rid of it, because we need the space. So I called a shipping agent that I had a relationship with, and I said, look, can you pick up those computers and make a phone call, and the computer was picked up, and then that's how the computers came here. The principal made mention about Nigel Lawrence. It's an interesting story, because I called Nigel in London around 7 o'clock in the morning. So Nigel called me Bossman. Those who know Nigel, right? Because he works in fisheries. He said, Bossman, you know what? I'm really depressed, because I looked at this newsman, and then the Prime Minister was in Petite, Savanne, and the folks asked him to give them half of the money to buy a copying machine, and the Prime Minister said they don't have the money. And he said, at least he could have said, well, we'll look into it. That's what my take, right? So I said, okay. I said, Bossman, okay, I'll work on that, because Petite Savanne is just like Bagatelle to me. So I went to work. By 12 o'clock, made a phone call. I located a copying machine. So that's how you have the copying machine here. You see, all what I'm saying is that everybody here probably has somebody somewhere in the United States or UK, somewhere else, and wherever it is. It's about using what you have to get what you want. You know what I'm saying here? And I'm not different than anybody else. I'm just a regular guy. I could be anybody's else's brother or sister or somebody's child. But the fact is that, at the end of the day, when you leave and go wherever, go back to New York, or Gabriel can go back to Washington, or Dr. Shillingford, well, you never know where he is. He could be in Dominica one day, and then, Maryland or somewhere, and then next day. But when we leave and go, the real question is that, how is the community that we live benefiting from our presence wherever we are? And that's the key question. We have a responsibility. So the same way that you have a responsibility, we have a responsibility. And I believe it's something mutual. Because there's a lot that you can do. I think so. And there's a lot that we can do. But if we work together, and what we are trying to do within the Rosie Douglas Foundation is to be able to create that type of environment. We don't know more than you know. Look, I don't know anything about about law. I can't go defend somebody in a court. But at the same time, Gabriel doesn't know what I know. Babs, distillation, I don't know about, I remember growing up, I used to go and break that belief and go and sleep in a still with partners while they were distilling that stuff, because, they used to do the kind of, bakes and all that kind of stuff, because as a young child, you always wanted to be around that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, every one of us have a particular skill that we are good at. Martin Luther King said, if you're going to be somebody sweeping the street, be the best that you can be. And then, you see, that's what we have to instill in our people and in our children, to be the best that we can be. Okay, look, I'm flattered. I don't want to take all that kind of credit, because, I'm gonna give that credit to people like Nenen and Pap, like my grandparents and my parents. These are the people that instill the kind of value into you because, you know, Mr. Moise probably know Pap probably better than anybody else. You know, Robert Fountain, everybody know Robert Fountain, you know, because the guy was a kind of guy that, you know, during those days when they didn't have no roads, right? People from Delices and La Plaine or Petite. I don't know how they used to fit everybody in there, but you know, strangers came and then to put them in there, you know. So that kind of community, you know what I'm talking about? We need to create that type of community, and then that's what we're trying to encourage right now, folks. What I'm saying to you is that look, those of us use our presence because you're not there, we are there. Okay, use us. And then we have to be accountable to each other. I just want to briefly state that. Look, Derek Francis, everybody know Derek Francis, right? Teacher Derek, right? Teacher Derek, I mean, I speak to Teacher Derek, and I've been speaking to Babs for the, I mean, it became to be a regular thing, and Maurice and Moise, it's just a phone call away, right? The technology is there. And then Derek, I had a conversation with Derek, and Derek tell me, boy, you tell me about something about the Bay Oil stuff. You know, about the Bay Oil and the situation, and I said, okay, we had a conversation, and I said, all right, I'll see what I can do. I mean, I knew somebody else, Frank McCullough from Jamaica. I mean, the guy is a consultant for UNDP, and then, so I said, Franz, this is the situation there. He said, okay, he said, look, I have some connections, I'll make a phone call. He made a phone call, and we had a meeting, we went to Jersey. Now, this company has been around since 1864, right? One of the leading company within the essential oil industry, talking about Bay Oil, Pasholi, whatever you want to call. Lang Lang, that's Lang Lang, right? And you know what has happened from that meeting? And I told Baba about it, is that, number one, I spoke to I mean, because that, everybody can relate to it, because when you talk about Bay Oil, everybody in Petite do Bay Oil, right? What has happened right now? They sent me a sample from the cooperative. I have personally sampled to the company. They have offered to train somebody free of charge, to bring somebody to the United States to train them on distillation techniques and other type of techniques concerning the Bay Oil industry. So this is something that is available to the cooperative right now, okay? And then hopefully what we are trying to do is to get a proper access, a proper market for the product, so that you all guys, when you go and work hard and break the belief and boil that stuff and get the oil and do all this other stuff, can get proper pricing for the product. Okay, so that's something else that we are working on. Another thing that I'm working on right now is a market for plantains and dashings and yams and all this other kind of stuff. Okay, what we can do is to give you access. Okay, but at the same time, you have a responsibility to make sure that you can provide the things that we asking or you say you can do, right? So folks, look, what I want to do is that, and then I think the parliament reps mentioned about that stuff, is that, look, when you people are writing you, tell them, ask them, you know, tell them to get involved. Because if everybody do a little bit, imagine what kind of impact that we can have. I think we can transform this whole community and this whole society, what we call Dominica, into something, to a different paradigm. Okay, so this is what I personally, in my little humble way, you know, I could be, you know, come from New York, you know, come here in my own little humble way. I mean, we didn't have to be here, right? I mean, you didn't have to come, and we didn't have to be here. We could be doing something else. Guys could be hanging out in Fort Young Hotel and do the things that they do. But the most important thing is after we leave and go tomorrow, the question gonna come up, what did you do? And what did I do to change the life of somebody else? And that's the kind of theme, that's the kind, you know, that is kind of responsibility, that kind of community type of responsibility. That is what we're trying to inject right now. So, you know, I'm not really there to bore you. I mean, Dr. Christian and Dr. Shillingford will talk to you about DAS and all on the RDF and all the good things that we are doing. And myself, you know, we are happy to be able to provide, to be able to make this available to you all guys. You know, I'm not going to ask. I know that, you know, you're going to make the best use out of it. You know, I'm hoping that in the future we can do, you know, we can be able to continue to assist the school and anything that we can do. So on behalf of your foundation, sir, it's yours.
On behalf of the staff and the PTA of the school, because the PTA is very much involved in the school, I want to say that we are very happy too that you have presented us with this equipment, the computer and the copying machine down in the office. And I want to tell you, thank you very much for what you have done for us.
I'll explain. President of the Dominica Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Mr. Casey, we are very grateful for your contribution and the foundation's support towards the school and indeed the community as a whole. At this point in time, I want to introduce Dr. Shillingford, who is the president of the Dominica
Academy of Arts and Sciences.
The Dominica Academy of Arts and Sciences. So let's welcome Dr. Shillingford.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm very happy to be here. It was the first time that I had visited this area. I have never been to that area in my life before. I'm a Roseau boy, and back in those days when I was going to school, it wasn't easy to access these areas, so consequently, I never knew anything about it. Yes. Anyway, I'd like to, first of all, recognize that I'm familiar with, and I will tell you why I'm familiar with these names in a minute. Our young hero here, although in his humility he doesn't want to admit it, Roy Casey. And if you would, let's have a round of applause for him for all he's done. What Roy has done, before we get on to the more formal things about the foundation and the DAS, what I want to say about him is he's done something that many of us overseas have not done before. He is setting us an example, and we are going to use that example, all of us. And there are hundreds, if not thousands of us outside there in the United States, in Canada, and the United Kingdom, who can do more. That is to say, beyond what we normally do for our families, which is a lot. We can do more for our communities and for the schools and for education and so on. Now, let me say a few words about the organization for which I am now president. It is a sister organization to the Rosie Douglas Foundation. We have another organization which we call the Dominica Academy of Arts and Sciences. It was only possible to form that organization because we have the technology of the internet. And what we decided to do was to search out in the overseas areas all our skilled and professional Dominicans through the internet. We found people who were experts in engineering. We found many of our medical doctors overseas. We found our scientists. We found educators. We found many of our people who are teaching in universities as professors. So we are continuing that search. And let me say right away why we are doing this. We are doing this because without having access to that human resource which is out there, which is a consequence of what we have always called the brain drain, we are trying now to reverse that brain drain. In other words, we're trying to find our people, and we're trying to bring them back as experts, as consultants, as advisors to government, as advisors to private sector, as advisors to public sector, as advisors to family, and whatever kinds of needs that they are, we are trying to provide assistance in those areas. Now, I mentioned just now some of these names are familiar to me, the name Moise. And the reason why it's familiar to me, when I was teaching at the grammar school between 1962 and 66, there was a Moise, a Vivian Moise there, whom I taught chemistry and botany and mathematics and all that. and who subsequently became Dr. Moise. I mean, and he has a practice here. I also taught a young man called Daru. Now, I don't know if anybody here is related to Dr. Edmond Daru, but I taught Edmond Daru as well at the grammar school. And he also, I beg your pardon? He's from here, from this area, yes. So those names are very familiar to me. And these guys are up in the States, and, well, of course, Moise is here. But Edmond Daru is up in the States, and he's doing very, very well for himself as a professional medical